Matt Geib from the great state of Washington in the Pacific Northwest on a beautiful sunny day, about 70 degrees out. My office window here, beautiful blue sky with a few clouds. I sense in the early morning now that we're beginning to get a touch of fall in the air. And I was thinking of you this week. I've had a lot on my mind. I just feel filled up with a lot of things to share. And I just most recently, since about February, once a week, I have been studying and reading and chewing on, and I even have my notebook here that I fill notes out in, on Charles F. Haanel's The Master Key System. And today I finally finished chapter 24, and I read this, one of the last quotes in the book, the last three quotes, the next to the last two. I read this, and I just began to think about this, and I wanted to share some things with you. I want to read this. Chapter 24, or week 24, points 29 and 30. I will read it for you and then comment. Now, the only activity which the Spirit possesses is the power to think. Therefore, thought must be creative because Spirit is creative. This creative power is impersonal, and your ability to think is your ability to control it and make use of it for the benefit of yourself and others. Number 30. When the truth of this statement is realized, understood, and appreciated, you will have come into possession of the master key. But remember that only those who are wise enough to understand, broad enough to weigh the evidence, firm enough to follow their own judgment, and strong enough to make the sacrifice exacted may enter and partake. Wow, what a great way to end up a great work. A lot could be said about this statement, and I just want to point out a few things to you. As I read this, I thought, this is the end of a great book that I've studied for almost 6 months. And it talks about the master key, getting in possession of the master key. That is so powerful. And I began to think of keys. And a master key is a key that will unlock a multiple number of locks, basically, when I looked up the definition. And they began to make keys back in really at a pretty accelerated key case because they could duplicate them easily about 1917. Haanel's book was written between 1912 and 1917. Hence, maybe it has some connection with the title. I'm not sure. I was trying to find that out today. But it still has a connection in my mind because people are looking for sometimes the key to their lives, the key to living a full and abundant life. And Haanel has said there's a master key that we can pick up and use. And I really believe that. And that's comprised in this book. And with thinking of the end in mind, of using that master key for a more fuller life, he makes these statements here that I want to talk about. Now, the only activity which the Spirit possesses is the power to think. And in the previous part of this chapter, he talks about the Spirit being connected to the infinite Creator, that we're connected to a Creator God. And this Spirit is not outside of us, but actually, and we've learned throughout the Master Key, if we were to go through it, that all men possess the Spirit. Just the fact that I'm breathing, that you're breathing today, we possess that Spirit. And it's inside of us. And we have a wonderful power within us if we can access it. Therefore, because we have this power, he says, we must be creative because Spirit is creative. We must tie into that creative Spirit. This creative power is impersonal. In other words, just like the Bible says, and Haanel has said it throughout his work, this power to create and power to decide and determine the kind of life that you want to live and the way you want to live it and the things you want to do, that's impartial to no man. That idea. Anybody can tap into that. We're all creative beings, I believe. I find that out more and more. We're all creative. We all possess that power. And every one of us, we have different personalities. When God, the infinite Creator, made us, He broke the mold. So we all have different facets, different talents and abilities that you and I are gifted with that we can develop. And God's partial to no man. Any man can tap into the creative spirit of the infinite Creator that resides from within to create the life of his dreams based on his gifts and talents. And each man, each woman, it'll be different because we're all so